What if I told you that the most dangerous red flags in relationships aren't the obvious ones like anger or jealousy, but the ones that feel like love until it's too late? Pause for effect. By the end of this video, you'll recognize the 3 subtle manipulation tactics that 82% of people mistake for romance, and why the sweetest gestures can sometimes be the most toxic. It's 7:23 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in downtown Seattle. The rain patters against the windows of a trendy coffee shop as 26-year-old Emma sits across from her best friend Jess, cradling a latte that's gone cold 20 minutes ago. Emma's phone keeps buzzing on the table between them, text after text lighting up the screen. "Aren't you going to answer that?" Jess asks, nodding toward the insistent notifications. Emma glances at the phone and sighs. "It's Ryan. He's checking in." Jess raises an eyebrow as another text arrives, then another. "That's like the 10th one since we sat down." Emma knows how this looks to outsiders, but they don't understand. They don't see how sweet Ryan is, how attentive, how he cares about every detail of her day. The texts aren't annoying. They're love, aren't they? Emma met Ryan 4 months ago at a work conference. He was charming, successful, and from their very first conversation, he made her feel like the most fascinating woman in the room. He asked thoughtful questions, remembered every detail she shared, and within 2 weeks, he was telling her she was unlike anyone he'd ever met. It felt like a fairy tale romance. Ryan would surprise her with her favorite coffee order, remember stories she'd told about her childhood, and plan elaborate dates that felt perfectly tailored to her interests. He called her his soulmate after 3 weeks and talked about their future together like it was a certainty. But lately, something has been shifting. The sweet attention has become intense. Ryan wants to know where she is every moment of the day. He gets worried if she doesn't respond to texts within 30 minutes. He started expressing concern about her friends, particularly Jess, suggesting that they don't appreciate Emma the way he does. "He just loves me," Emma tells herself whenever doubt creeps in. "He's never been with someone like me before. It's natural that he'd want to spend all his time together." The phone buzzes again, then again. "Emma," Jess says gently, "this isn't normal." That evening, Emma is getting ready for dinner with Ryan when her phone rings. It's her sister calling from Portland. "Hey Lily," Emma answers, putting the call on speaker as she applies lipstick. "I can't talk long," Lily says, "but I had to call. Mom told me about your new boyfriend, and I'm worried." Emma freezes, lipstick halfway to her lips. "Worried about what?" "The way you've been canceling on family stuff. Missing Dad's birthday dinner because Ryan had plans, skipping girls' weekend because he wanted to spend time together. Emma, this isn't like you." Before Emma can respond, she hears Ryan's key in the door. He has a key to her apartment now. She gave it to him after he mentioned feeling shut out when she didn't answer his calls immediately. It seemed romantic at the time, a symbol of trust and intimacy. "Emma?" Ryan calls out. "Who are you talking to?" "It's my sister," Emma calls back, her voice automatically shifting to something lighter, more apologetic. Ryan appears in the bedroom doorway, and Emma can see his jaw tighten almost imperceptibly when he hears Lily's voice through the phone. "Tell her I said hi," Lily continues, oblivious to the tension. "And Emma, I miss you. It feels like we never talk anymore unless it's about Ryan." Emma catches Ryan's expression in the mirror, a subtle frown, a slight shake of his head. The message is clear. This conversation is bothering him. "Listen, Lily, I need to go," Emma says quickly. "Ryan and I have dinner reservations. But we've barely talked for 5 minutes. I'll call you later, okay?" After she hangs up, Ryan comes up behind her and places his hands on her shoulders, meeting her eyes in the mirror. "Family drama?" he asks, his voice sympathetic. "No, just Lily being Lily. You know how sisters can be. I just worry that your family doesn't understand how special what we have is," Ryan says, kissing her neck. They're used to the old Emma, the one who was single and available for everyone else's needs. They don't realize you have someone who puts you first now. It sounds romantic when he says it like that, like he's protecting her from being taken for granted. But something about it makes Emma's stomach twist. Over the next few weeks, the pattern becomes clearer. Every time Emma makes plans that don't include Ryan, he doesn't forbid her. He would never be that obvious. Instead, he expresses concern. He worries about her safety when she goes out with friends. He gets quiet and withdrawn when she mentions spending time with family. He reminds her of all the ways other people have disappointed her in the past. "I just don't want to see you get hurt," becomes his refrain. The turning point comes on a Thursday night when Emma is supposed to meet Jess for their monthly movie night, a tradition they've maintained for 3 years. 2 hours before she's supposed to leave, Ryan shows up at her apartment with flowers and a sad expression. "I had such a terrible day at work," he says, pulling her into his arms. "I really need you tonight. I know you have plans with Jess, but could you maybe reschedule? I just feel like you're the only person who understands me." Emma looks into his eyes, those warm, loving eyes that made her fall for him in the first place. He's not demanding, he's not controlling, he's vulnerable, needing her support. What kind of girlfriend would choose a movie over comforting the man she loves? She cancels on Jess. The revelation comes 3 weeks later in the most unexpected place: a podcast. Emma is walking to work, earbuds in, half listening to a show about psychology, when the host says something that makes her stop walking so abruptly that the person behind her nearly collides with her. Emotional manipulation often disguises itself as love and care, the psychologist is explaining. The manipulator doesn't say you can't see your friends. Instead, they create emotional emergencies that coincidentally always occur when you have plans with other people. They don't forbid, they request, they don't control, they express concern. Emma's heart starts racing. She rewinds the podcast and listens again. Classic tactics include love bombing in the early stages, excessive attention and premature intimacy that feels like a fairy tale romance. Then comes isolation, presented as protection. Your friends don't understand you like I do. Your family doesn't appreciate you. I'm the only one who really sees you. Emma thinks about Ryan's key to her apartment, given after he expressed feeling locked out of her life. The way he always needs her most when she has other plans. How he's never directly criticized her friends or family, but somehow she sees them less and less. The most insidious part, the psychologist continues, is that victims often defend the behavior because it feels like love. Constant texting feels like attention. Possessiveness feels like devotion. Isolation feels like special intimacy. Emma stops walking completely now, standing in the middle of the sidewalk as people flow around her like water around a stone. "Oh my God," she whispers to herself. "That's exactly what this is." For the first time in months, she sees the pattern clearly. The way Ryan monopolizes her time without ever seeming to demand it. The way he makes himself indispensable by being available for every emotional need, then makes her feel guilty for having emotional needs that don't center around him. She pulls out her phone and scrolls through her recent contacts. When was the last time she called her sister without it being about Ryan? When was the last time she made plans with friends without checking with Ryan first? That evening, when Ryan arrives for their usual dinner together, Emma is ready. "Ryan, we need to talk," she says, her voice steadier than she expected. "Of course, baby. What's wrong? You seem upset. Did something happen at work?" "I've been thinking about our relationship," Emma says carefully. "About some patterns I've noticed." Ryan's expression shifts almost imperceptibly, still loving, but with an edge of wariness. "What kind of patterns?" "The way I never seem to see my friends anymore. How every time I make plans with my family, you have some kind of emergency. The way you need me most when I have other commitments." "Emma," Ryan says, his voice hurt and confused. "I can't help when I need support. Are you saying I'm not allowed to depend on my girlfriend when I'm struggling?" But this time, Emma doesn't feel the familiar stab of guilt. Instead, she feels clear. "I'm saying that in 4 months together, you have never once encouraged me to maintain relationships outside of us. You've never once said, 'Go have fun with your friends,' or 'Your family needs you.' Every single time, there's a reason I should choose you instead." The conversation that follows is illuminating. Ryan cycles through hurt, confusion, anger, and finally a kind of cold withdrawal that Emma has never seen before. When she tells him she needs space to think, he doesn't respect it. He shows up at her apartment the next day with flowers and apologies, then gets angry when she doesn't immediately forgive him. 6 months later, Emma is sitting in that same coffee shop with Jess, but this time her phone isn't buzzing every 30 seconds. This time she's fully present, laughing at Jess's stories about her disastrous dating life, offering real advice and support instead of constantly checking in with someone else. "You look like yourself again," Jess tells her. "I mean, you look like the Emma I remember from before Ryan." Emma nods. "I feel like myself again. I forgot what it was like to have thoughts that weren't being monitored, to make plans without having to justify them, to love people without feeling guilty about it." Here's what Emma learned that changed everything. Real love doesn't require you to shrink your world. It encourages you to expand it. Real love doesn't make itself indispensable by eliminating your other sources of support. It celebrates those connections and adds to them. The most dangerous red flags aren't the ones that wave obviously in the wind. They're the ones that look like roses until you realize the thorns have been slowly cutting you the entire time. If you recognized your relationship in Emma's story, if you've found yourself canceling plans, losing touch with friends, or feeling guilty for having a life outside of your romantic relationship, please know that you're not imagining things and you're not overreacting. Love bombing, emotional manipulation disguised as care, and isolation presented as intimacy are real tactics used by people who view relationships as possession rather than partnership. Hit that subscribe button right now, because recognizing red flags is just the first step. In our next video, we're exploring how to rebuild your support system after leaving a manipulative relationship, including how to reconnect with friends and family who may have been pushed away. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about your current or most recent relationship. Does your partner encourage your other relationships, or do they always seem to need you most when you have plans with other people? Do they celebrate your independence, or do they make you feel guilty for having interests, friends, or family commitments outside of them? Drop a comment below, but keep yourself safe. If you're in a relationship where your partner monitors your online activity, consider watching this from a private browsing window or when you have privacy. Remember, healthy love feels like freedom, even when it feels like home. Unhealthy love feels like a beautiful prison where the bars are made of flowers and sweet words. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Even if you can't articulate why, even if it looks like love from the outside, even if everyone thinks you're lucky to have found someone so devoted, you deserve a love that makes your world bigger, not smaller. Don't settle for anything less.